Hey everybody, it's Deanna with toolsofenergyprotection.com, your energy shift expert, where I teach highly sensitive people and empathic people how to navigate the energies. And this is the second week that I've had some challenges getting on, with, usually it's other planets in retrograde that causes technical issues. So going forward, if you go to my webpage here on Facebook and you click on the top there to follow, when I go live, it'll send an automatic message to your cell phone. Make sure your cell phone's turned on to receive automatic messages from Facebook. Anyway, I'm coming on tonight to talk to you about Venus retrograde. Wow, absolutely wow. It is so crazy and so nuts right now, the way people are feeling, and the clients that are contacting me and telling me what's going on in their lives. It's almost the same exact story across the board. So if you're feeling these energy shifts, great, then you're on board with the rest of us. If you're not, sit back and enjoy the show. So the first thing I'd like to tell you that normally when we do, hi Ed, nice to see you tonight. Usually when we talk about these energies shifting, I try to keep these broadcasts to 20 minutes or less because I know people get on and, they don't have all the time to devote to it. But I'm telling you tonight, please stay on the broadcast all the way through to the end or come back and watch the rest of it, because I'm about to give you some huge keys on how to survive this Venus retrograde that lasts for 40 days and 40 nights, which I found to be quite interesting because in the Bible, the number 40 is really huge there as well. If I'm not mistaken, Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights before the devil tempted him. And then also there was 40 years, I believe, of wandering in the wilderness. And then there's also, I think Noah's Ark was afloat for the 40 number as well. So that's usually a time of contemplation, a time of true testing, because if you think about the darkness, or hi Belen, nice for you to join us. If you think about the darkness that's going on within yourself, being tested at the time of Venus retrograde, then you're right on track. And normally when I come on, I've been working with enough folks and enough clients that I can relate to you stories that you can relate to about how things are going for you. But I'm kind of like a news broadcaster tonight. I have like 2 whole pages of what everybody's going through. So again, please bear with me because I'm going to be giving a lot of good information and getting the information for people out there so that they have the tools. And I love each and every one of you so much. Oh, hi, Susan. That I want you, the desired outcome is for you to have these tools available so you can begin to work through these energies. And please feel free to ask questions during the live Facebook Terrific Tuesday tonight. If you're missing that as a live and seeing it as a replay, and you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can post the questions down below. If you're on my website, toolsofenergyprotection.com, you can click on contact and then send me a message that way. But those are my 3 favorite ways to do it. Also, if you are feeling like you really need some help more than just what you're getting here tonight, go to toolsofenergyprotection.com, click on appointments, and I have Thursday, I think I have 2 spots available down at For Heaven's Sakes Books in Denver, Colorado. And then this coming up Friday, I will also be there. And so you'll get 2 days back to back where I can help as many people as possible. You make a session, come in, we'll talk about what's going on for you. I will help you to identify what's going on inside your shadow self, how to work through it more quickly, and then clear those energies out of your energy field that I can so that you can experience more peace in your heart. So I know we're on here live on Facebook and I can't really see you, but I'd like to see a metaphorical show of hands of how many people are having a lot of trouble sleeping right now. How many people aren't getting more than 3 or 4 hours of sleep at a time? Welcome to Venus retrograde. Okay, so here's the facts that we've got. Venus retrograde goes from October 6th to November 16th. That's October 6th to November 16th. And during the first 15 days of this retrograde, the vibrational frequencies that are changing, that are affecting us as human beings, are causing us to have a desire or a longing for things that we once had. And usually it's in the neighborhood of love. So if you feel yourself wanting to reach out to somebody that you loved a long time ago, or you had a relationship with a long time ago, and really wanting to bring that up and hold on to it, this is what the retrograde looks like. If you say, no, that's not me, I'm all good, then I'd like for you to look at what's in your heart right now. What are you holding on to? What are you looking at as like an unrequited or unreturned love that's within yourself? Because this time period is for us to look at our shadow selves, hi Joe, or our darker selves, or the other side of who we are. So you as a human being have a dualistic place inside of you. And one is your light side, or your spirit side, or your happy or joyful side. And the other side is the darker side, the dark side of the moon, the belly of the whale for Noah, or not Noah, sorry. Anyways, it's the belly of the whale. And in that, if you're on a journey and there are some things that are not happy in your life that really need to be looked at, and you've stuffed them down and stuffed them down and stuffed them down, then this is God's spirit or source's way, and when he attunes the frequency of the planet to get you to look at what's inside. And it's probably becoming very painful for a lot of people. And how that pain translates is not being able to sleep, not being able to go to sleep, not being able to stay asleep. And here's why. Because during the day, if you work during the day, we're really busy. And we're busy figuring this out, we're busy figuring that out, and we're paying bills, and we're going to the grocery store, and we're doing our job or our vocation, whatever that is, every single day. And then at night we come home and get something to eat and maybe visit with the family. And then after that, it gets quiet. And most highly sensitive people or empathic people like it at night. They like the silence. If that's you, give me a thumbs up or heart. Because when we get that silent time, that's the time when we can push out the unwanted energy. We can release the negativity or the things that we are no longer seeking, and let them go. And as long as we have that time, it's usually really good. But right now, the darker side, the shadow self, the repressed energies, the repressed information, the repressed things that are in our heart are starting to bubble up. That's what the frequencies are right now. Bubble, 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 bubble. And a lot of us are pushing it down because we don't want to look at it. It's like, no, that's too painful. But this is not the time. This is the time to let that stuff come up. And the harder we push it down, the more it's going to come up. And when you're here with me on Tuesday Night Live, I like to talk about love and joy and hugs. But this is not that time. This is the time to love yourself. And loving yourself means looking at what's stuck. What's stuck down here? What have you been repressing? What have you been pushing down? And if you have a moment, you might want to surf the net and see what other people like myself are saying, because this is what I'm seeing across the board with my clients. This is what I see across the board with other energy people like myself. So how much ever you have pushed down in here is what's coming up. Please pay attention to it. Spend some time getting to understand what's down there, because when you're not doing it, you're not sleeping at night very well, because that's when your mind is still and doesn't have all the input coming in, and it gets a chance to think. And when it starts thinking, it starts dealing with these darker energies. And those of you that don't want to feel the darker energies, you'll watch TV all night, fall asleep on the couch. You'll drink too much. You'll take some kind of drug, some kind of mind-altering drug, because you simply don't want to deal with it. I can't say that I don't have compassion, because some of that stuff down there is pretty ugly. But I learned today that if we allow that dark stuff to come up, if we allow the ugly things to come up, guess what happens? So do the beautiful, loving, happy, joyful memories, and it clears our brain, and our thinking becomes more clear. I've had a few people contact me saying, I can't find my car keys, and I just turned around, whoops, there they are, right? With all that stuff going on in your mind and your heart and your brain being so busy, it's easy to misplace things. So letting go of those things is going to make it a lot easier for you. All right, let me check and see if we have any questions. Let's see. Hi, it looks like Corrine. Hi, Corrine. Hi, Becky. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Karen. I'm so glad everybody joined me. Thank you. My laptop doesn't show the feed as fast, so I have to look. But anyway, so what's going on right now also is we have a new moon. So Venus in retrograde, the first half of it is really trying to grasp out at something that we're missing, which is usually love. What doesn't compute in the mind is that in order to receive that love, we have to let go of what we've been repressing. So that's why you're feeling these up and down feelings. I've talked to so many people, the people where I bank, the people at the grocery store, and they tell me that they're feeling like this too. And they're not even aware of energy shifts. They're like, yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm upset, or I cry for absolutely no reason, but I'm crying and I'm upset for every reason in the world. I mean, it's like, what? No wonder they're confused. Of course, I did invite them here to Tuesday Night Live. But anyway, so the new moon, as you know, energetically brings in new and fresh energy to frequencies and restores things. It's like sleeping. But when it's pouring it in and you're already full and things are bubbling up, it has nowhere to go. So there's a lot of emotional ups and downs. So one of the keys is to take pen to paper or pencil to paper if you prefer. It's better that you don't use an electronic device to do this, because there's something about tactile and touching and writing that really helps the human body to release energy. But please make a note of your feelings. What are you feeling? Why are you angry? Why are you upset? And if the answer is I don't know, right? I don't know. But really keep a journal, a log, something. If you need to lock it up so nobody else looks at it, fine. But make sure that you're getting out what's in there. I recommend you get up 20 minutes earlier than you have to every morning and write some stuff down about how you're feeling, or do it before you go to bed if you need to empty your mind. Sorrow is coming up for things that we feel like we've lost. We also are noticing a transition between what's important and what hasn't been important. There's a transition happening right now for many of us. And if you've had a bad childhood, if you have been told you were bad or wrong, or perhaps you were asked to do things that your little mind couldn't do at that time because of development, and you may have been beating yourself up, if I'd only done this, if I'd only done that. Lots of those feelings and emotions are coming up. And if you'll notice, there's a transition right now to opening your heart up and saying, why am I talking to myself this way anymore? I'm an adult. I don't need to carry this baggage around anymore. And you're right, because God, Spirit, or Source is reaching his hand out and he's saying, give it to me. Give me your burdens. But if you don't give them up, he's not going to take them. He's not going to reach in there and grab them. You have to give them up. So giving them up is something that I work with when people come to see me one-to-one or do a phone call. That's what I'm working on with folks, is to help them to see what they can't see, because if you're not aware, how can you do anything about it? All right, the next thing that's coming up is that we're grieving a lot of things. There's a lot of grieving going on for things that have been lost in the past that will never return. And many of us are realizing that there's things that we lost, usually something emotional or cognitive, and they're not coming back. There's been people that have contacted me and, they lost, maybe their parents moved when they were younger, and they lost that childhood home that they loved so much, and they didn't think it really bothered them because they repressed it, they pushed it down, they pushed it back. And now all of a sudden they can't stop thinking about that house and the good times that they may have had in that house. And those are things that are lost that you just simply can't get back. There's other people that had relationships with their children, and suddenly the children no longer talk to them, and they can't reach them. They don't know where they are, and that's horrible. Maybe they've got grandkids they can't talk to. What an awful feeling. So those people are being asked to understand that relationship may never return, and they're grieving it. Now it might, but there's a process of loss after a loss called grieving, and a lot of us pushed that away just to keep going. We had to survive. So this, if you will, is opening up the gateway of old survival mechanisms and taking out the trash. My question is, are you willing to go there? Are you willing to work through that trash? And one step at a time. Because if you do, your unlimited potential, your unlimited future is going to open up. Hi, Amy. If you don't, and you keep these things repressed through the end of November the 16th, whatever you choose to hang on to during that time is going to keep you from your unlimited divine abundance, be it mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, energetic, monetary, relationship. So this is the time that's being supported. And imagine that you have 5 cups of water and somebody knocks over 3 of them, and you're crying and mourning over the 3 that got lost, but you're not appreciating and valuing the 2 that you still have left. Maybe those glasses of water that got knocked over had poison in them and you didn't know it. And so stop grieving. Recognize they're gone. Process those feelings and then be grateful for what you now have. That's the key, or another key. All right, let me get down my list here because we are getting into a little bit longer time. There are also parts of people's lives that are coming unraveled because they feel they can no longer have any control over them. So people that are anal, retentive, control freaks, they've got to have things in different slots. You know, I'm not saying a routine isn't good, because a routine is good, and a routine is part of the thing that will help us cross over. But the other side of that, the darker side of that, is people having, if you will, their lives all wound up. And if you pull out one little tiny string, everything comes unraveled. And that can cause high levels of anxiety, huge levels of anxiety. And it can cause huge levels of depression. But our lives are literally being unraveled right now because we feel like we don't have any control. And guess what? You really don't. Because the universal energy is pushing all that stuff up to be dealt with. And if you're not dealing with it, you're going to feel like you're out of control. Your mind will be so full it can't even know where your car keys are from 5 minutes ago. That's normal in the human physiology. It's just we're adding the spiritual component to give you a little bit more understanding that you're not just a physical being. All right, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the feed. I will monitor it while I finish to share some more information. There other people are telling me that they feel like their situation has been turned inside out. You know, it's like wearing a shirt inside out. I don't know if you used to have inside out days when you were going to school, but we did. And some people are telling me they feel like their lives are being turned inside out. And if that's happening for you, I'm going to be very blunt and tell you, good. I'm glad. Because that means what has been exposed in your life that you've dealt with all these years and you've got where you want it and kind of grooving is now been turned to the inside. And that icky stuff that was on the inside is now on the outside. So you either have to deal with it or try to take that jacket off and go wash it. But it's being exposed, if you will. The darkness is being exposed for you to work through. If you need help, again, I'm here for you. Make an appointment, come in, and I'm going to look at what's working for you, what isn't working for you, and give you some steps to help you move forward so that you can work through this more quickly. Okay. The next thing is build a new structure in your life. And to build a new structure in your life, I'm going to recommend that you create a stronger spiritual life. If you haven't had one up until now, get on it. And I'm very serious about that. I work every day with human beings and God's Spirit Source. Hi, Todd. Nice to see you. And that's what I do every single day. I love the people that I work with because I send them godly, unconditional love. And I attempt to do the same thing in my personal life, but I'm human. Somebody reminded me of that today because I was being very hard on myself. And I said, you're human. And I'm like, oh yeah, human, check. I'm also funny, but we have to laugh, right? All right. Little time to giggle and move that root chakra. And then it looks like we have a question from Todd. He says, does a job change and moving to a new state relate to Venus retrograde? That's a great question, Todd. It can. Because again, what we're looking at is the shadow side of ourselves, the darker side of ourselves, the self-punishment, the lack of self-worth, the lack of self-value. And if that's coming up for you and you decide you're going to address it, it may come out in the form of change of a job or moving to somewhere different to give yourself a fresh place to grow a new crop, if you will. So a lot of times the farmers will farm in a certain area for a while and then they let it go fallow or rest and then they start in a new place. So that could be what's happening for you in the Venus retrograde. But it's really about learning to love yourself. And so the first part of Venus retrograde is getting rid of all the poop. And then the second part will be engaging in loving yourself more. And it sounds like you may be ahead of the curve. Thank you for your question. Building a new structure in your life. So right now, in order to perpetuate yourself through this time, I don't want to say survive, because survive means, you're not trying, you're attempting not to do the work. And now is the time to do the work. So in order to get through Venus retrograde, allow that energy to bring up the dark side, the shadow side, the side that's critical in your head, tells you, no, you should have done this, you could have done that, why didn't you do this, all that stuff, okay? If you have a strong prayer life, a strong spiritual life, a strong spiritual practice, that's going to get you through not only this time, but help you to upgrade yourself to where those critical voices in your head, which are usually your own patterning, aren't as severe, aren't as dominant, aren't as strong. So the idea of this exercise is to let go, whatever's bubbling up, deal with it, let it go, and allow love in. That's the object of this exercise. And you have, well, not 40 days now, I think it's like 37 now, days and nights to do that. So building a new structure is paramount. Let's see here. Karen shares, I recommend even a simple daily practice like drinking tea, breathing in the warmth with mindfulness, or lighting a candle while you shower. Super simple ritual things, but they can shift your thoughts. And Karen, thank you for sharing. You're absolutely right. It is very simplistic what can shift our thoughts. We're always looking for something greater or huge or big, but I have a lot of male clients who the way they numb out at the end of the day or not think about anything is they fall asleep on the couch. And I don't mean to step on any toes because I have a lot of guys tell me that's a guy thing, sleeping on the couch. But when you do, if you have the television on, then your brain is still being stimulated by whatever's on the TV, and it's going directly into your subconscious mind, by the way, so be careful what you're watching. But if your brain is busy like that, then that takes away from the healing of what's going on now. It may put you to sleep, but it puts you to sleep in a state that's not vibrationally good because it's still keeping your brain busy. You won't wake up feeling as rested, but you also won't have dealt with what's down here. So instead, there's things called diffusers, and you can get them online, or you can get them at a health food store. And you put water in them, and you put essential oil in them. And you could do a little research and find out what essential oil works for you. Personally, I like lavender to go to bed. It's a very nice, pleasant smell. And so part of my routine to go to bed is to put the oil and the water in the diffuser and turn it on, a few minutes before, and let it have that smell in the room of lavender, which is comforting. And there's many different things you can use. I also have a routine before I go to bed. And so when you start that routine, it tells you it's time to go to sleep. It's time to process things in the sleeping state. So you can use the lavender, and then, perhaps you want to bathe and do your teeth and hair or whatever before you go to bed. But by turning the lavender on first, it triggers the sense of smell that, hey, now is the time for us to relax. Some of my clients and friends and family like to read before they go to bed. I think that's fantastic because it's putting in pleasant, usually, if you're reading a good book, information into your head. And I do recommend you don't read Metaphysical 101 before you go to bed. Try something lighter, something you enjoy, perhaps a good author that you enjoy to read before you go to bed, or you could actually read the Bible. Also, I recommend at this time to establish a better prayer life is to read the canonized version of the Bible. You could start in Psalms. You could start in Proverbs. Just find a place, or you can go to some of the stores and they have Bible, read it by the day or something like that, or a devotional Bible for men or for women, depending on whether you're a guy or a gal. But it's so important to have that every single day. And if you need to, if you're having negative thoughts throughout the day and you can't control them, have a sticky note, write them on a sticky note, put them up somewhere you'll see them, maybe on your computer, maybe on your phone. Some of you have a way to capture a picture or to put notes in so that when you're having those negative thoughts, you can stop yourself and then turn yourself to something more positive. And that beautiful, divine, loving word will definitely help you to pick up your frequency. Hi, Ron. Glad you joined us. All right, we have a lot to get through today. So if you're coming in toward the end, because this retrograde, that people's emotions are all over the place, I'm doing a little bit longer tonight than I normally do. So if you're catching it at the end, it'll post to the replay within a few minutes after we quit, and then you can come back and catch the beginning. All right, got a couple more things. I kind of feel like a news announcer. Anyway, okay, so building this new structure in your life, paramount right now. Also, looking at your situations that you're in, your relationships that you're in, the jobs that you're in, and noticing how they may not be ideal. That's another big energy. Looking at them and going, wow, this is good, but it's not ideal. Well, if it's not ideal, but you desire to be there. So let's say you have a job that, you're like, it's okay, I make money, but it's not ideal. Then stop yourself and begin to turn the picture around a little bit and look at how your job is perhaps more ideal. What is it that you're receiving from your job? What is the energy exchange? I have one client that works with children. And, she got some challenges going on there with the people she's working with. However, she looks at how she loves the kids. The kids have pure, open hearts. They bring joy to her every day. And not to mention, she gets an energy exchange of a paycheck. But learning to turn the situation you're in, to see it from a different direction that will cause less friction, less anxiety, and more purpose is also good. So that is one of the keys to working through what's going on right now in situations, in relationships. And, looking at how we intended things to turn out and how they're actually turning out. Because we may be so dead on and intending, it's got to be this way, it's got to be this way. If I don't have it by this time, blah, 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 blah. Well, number one, you're forecasting to set yourself up for failure because you have no idea. I'm going to be silly. Imagine you say, okay, in October 31st, I'm going to win the lottery. And I know I'm going to win the lottery. And every day, you say that's what you're going to do. Well, that's all great and fine. But how many variables are there in winning the lottery? How many? A whole bunch. Lots of different variables. Your frequency, its frequency, divine timing, is it for your highest good? All kinds of things. So in the example that I'm setting of ideal situations and looking at them and looking at holding on to certain outcomes, if you really hold on to that particular outcome and the day comes that you don't win, or maybe say you wanted to win $1 million and you won 10,000, you had so much energy on that outcome, so much writing on it, so much stuff that you'd suppressed down here about being good enough or deserving or whatever, that one situation can set you off, everything come bubbling and spewing out of the darkness within you, and you lose it. Absolutely lose it. And that's not really safe to do. So that's one of the reasons that I'm asking you to begin looking at those things now. And hi, Tanya. Hi, Faith. And to really focus on not holding on to a desired outcome. Things are so much in flux right now, and the variables of, if you're in, at a work site, there's 6 people working there. You got 6 human variables of this Venus retrograde, things going up and down. It could be volatile. It could be the greatest thing ever. But if you have a certain hold on that outcome of it's either black or it's white, let me clue you in, people. We have gray. And gray is really big right now. Gray is huge right now because so many people are trying to decide where they are on that spectrum, and sometimes on a daily basis. So if you imagine, most of us have cars, and if you imagine sitting in a car and there's that little gauge that goes from E to F, empty to full. And when you get in and, say it's half full, you can know about how far you can go before you got to go refill it. Now, can you imagine every single day, every time you get in the car, it's all over the place? You'd have the, I forget what it is, the little thing replaced that, is in the tank that goes up and down that helps it to know where it's at. You'd have that replaced immediately. Or get a new gas tank. That's what's happening to us in here. A lot of us don't know where to go. We don't know where to land, and things are really scary right now. And our vision is really scary about what's going on around us. That's why I'm telling you, please establish a spiritual life. If you haven't already, if you go to church, great. If you don't, then get an established thing. And even if you do go to church, have something you do every day when you get up in the morning, and have something every day when you go to bed at night, and put stickies up with positive affirmations. Because that's what's going to get you through this. It's called grounding. And I know reading the Bible doesn't sound like grounding, but you're touching and you're reading and you're, tuning in. If you have some other way to ground, great. Share it in the feed. I'd love to know. But you've got to have it. And even if you decided, well, I don't want to do the same thing every day, right? Have the rituals written out. Like maybe get up in the morning, light a candle, look at the candle, focus on the candle for 15 minutes. And say, here's the light. Here's the light of God's Spirit or Source. Here's the light in my heart. I'm giving joy today because I'm standing upright. It can be that simple. And I'm going to ask you kind of a rude question, but I'd really like for you to think about this while everything is going like this. Okay? There you go. Here's your questions. Ask yourself every day when you get up, am I breathing? Am I taking air in and out of my lungs? Do you know what that means? It means live. Breathing in and out is living. Existing in the moment is being. So that's where be, live, or believe comes from. I believe I'm this. That means you're being in the moment, not thinking about what happened in the past, not thinking about what's going to happen in the future, but being right there in the moment. Now. This is really serious stuff, folks. And I'll tell you something else that has really become a very valuable tool for me. Let me pull it out. I'm going to show it to you. I know it's going to amaze many of you. A little comedy in each and every show, right? All right. You're going to stay in the moment, but you have things to do. sometimes we stay in the moment. We tend to kind of float off, and we think, okay, I'm only going to do this for a few minutes, and hours have gone by, and you're like, oh, poop, I didn't get other stuff done I needed to today. Well, I'm going to show you something that really works. It's called a calendar. And you can write stuff in it, and I'm going to turn to a page that's not written in. But right here, it's got every day of the week in there on one side, and it's got a place for notes on the other side. And you see there's nothing in there right at the moment. But if you have things written out in a calendar, then you're going to stay more centered. You're going to stay more focused because you know what needs to be done. And you won't lose yourself. And, I told you not to be anal retentive, and that's a little bit different. But right now, I'm telling you, these energies are so much in flux, and people are having trouble staying uprighted. These are the keys. I'm freely sharing them with you. Please utilize them. Don't just sit there and go, yeah, yep, that sounds great, because that means you're living here. I'm asking you to come live here and use this. Live here, use this. Live here, use this. Not live here, use this. Does that make sense to anybody? Can I get some thumbs up? Because I really feel like I'm kind of either not communicating or I'm too strong tonight. Can anybody give me a thumbs up if it's okay? Give me an angry face if you don't like it. Because, this is some very, very important stuff. And I'm doing the best I can to share it. And to share it from a place of love. But it's not easy right now. So, all right, I'm not getting any thumbs up. So I guess, I guess my ratings went down. Either that or it's my internet connection, one of the two. Anyway, all right, let me look at the last of these notes and see what we've got going on, so I can finish sharing this with you all. Because I want to make sure that we're getting things taken care of here. All right. So, okay, hang on for me one quick sec here. All right. So, the last thing that I'm going to share with you is really it's time to nurture yourself. So if you are a highly sensitive person or an empathic person, it is a really paramount thing for you right now to nurture yourself. It's huge. You've to take the time, because if you are highly sensitive and empathic and your energies are going like this and they're flowing continually up and down like that, then what's happening is that not only are you unstable, but the energy around you is unstable, which can make you more unstable unless you know how to keep your energy field purified. And that's so super important right now. So again, this is a little bit longer than we normally go, but this is important. And again, Venus retrogrades October 6th to November 16th, Thursday and Friday. I will be at For Heaven's Sakes Books in Denver. If you cannot come see me and your Learjet happens to be in the shop, give them a call. Either that or contact me privately and I can get you the information that you need. Big hugs and kisses to everybody tonight. And I'm hoping that it's just, oh, thank you, Karen, for your thumbs up. I hope it's just a lag on my end. I was kind of checking my cell phone to see if the broadcast was still going. And it is, but like I said, we're almost at 40 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it to a close. And I don't have really any more questions. But if you are seeing this as a rebroadcast later, please feel free to put that in the feed, questions, and I will respond to those. And if you are having trouble and your energy field's going like this and you're highly sensitive and you're hermetizing yourself and you're not getting out and you're wondering how to help yourself, then please reach out to me. Let's set a time up to get together, do a one-to-one, get you uprighted, get you some tools so that you can work through the end of this cycle of the Venus retrograde. Big, super big hugs and kisses to everybody. Have a great and wonderful night.